Hello viewers, it is my pleasure to welcome you once again for another episode of the Stakeholder Outreach Initiative by P3 World Council. I hope you are enjoying this journey across the world where we are bringing you perspectives from different regions in context to how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted markets, regions and projects, as well as how our economies reacting to it and dealing with it. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I am in a country in South Asia. We are in a country that has seen a series of wars since the 9/11 and yet is still going strong towards achieving their sustainable development goals and the national vision plans. We are in Afghanistan, a landlocked country at the crossroads of Central and South Asia. Afghanistan is bordered by Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Iran, Pakistan, and China. It has also been at the crossroads of major cultures and civilizations and cherishes a strong history that can be experienced through its cuisine and lifestyle. And dear viewers, our guest today for this episode is Engineer Mohammad Gul Khulmi, who was the former Minister for Energy and Water with the government of Afghanistan. Before I begin for this interview, let me first give you a brief introduction of Engineer Khulmi. Engineer Mohammad Gul Khulmi was the former Minister of Energy and Water for Afghanistan. He has a master's degree in electrical engineering. Engineer Khulmi has more than 30 years of working experience in the government and private sectors. Before he joined the Ministry of Energy and Water, he held the position of being the Deputy Chairman of the Afghanistan Renewable Energy Union. He has done a lot of research work and capacity building activity in the renewable energy sector in Afghanistan. Engineer Khulmi has the experience of managing private and government corporations as CEO and co-founder in telecom companies in his illustrious career. He is currently working as a freelance consultant for the energy sector, and he is also passionately pursuing a PhD in renewable energy. Engineer Khulmi, that is some kind of a motivation you have given to all youngsters and young entrepreneurs pursuing a PhD at this particular juncture of your career. On behalf of P3 World Council and my team and our global viewers, I want to welcome you, Engineer Khulmi, for the Stakeholder Outreach Initiative. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your views with us.
Thank you, Harish. It's very nice to talk with you. Good afternoon for Indian friend and everybody watching us. Yes, I was working for two sectors, especially first in telecom. I'm very proud of that. I was a member of the team which we built a new telecom sector after 2001 in Afghanistan. Okay. And later on, I was co-founder of a telecom company also. I was running that. And later on, I joined the renewable energy, which I think its demand is huge for all over the world, and including Afghanistan.
Correct. Thank you so much for that. And yes, let's begin a conversation. And my first question to you, Engineer Khulmi, is through this particular initiative that we are reaching out to global leaders in different regions of the world, what we are trying to understand is how has been the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is some sort of an unprecedented event that has shook the world in a very different way. So how has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted your country, Afghanistan, in terms of markets and as well as the PPP projects?
For sure, it was affected not only Afghanistan, worldwide. This issue is still a big challenge for everybody, including in Afghanistan. Especially Afghanistan is one of the poorest country, as you know, and according to the World Bank static, 55% of Afghan was in poverty, and it was low income and almost no job in this was situation before the pandemic. And according to that, in 2020, after the pandemic, according to a new static of World Bank, this poverty will go up to 66 to 72%, means it's very huge. Directly, it was affected to many sectors. Other part of the world, aviation was one of that. We are landlocked country, and the border, when it was closed, majority of the product was imported by aviation, or we called air corridors. including we was transporting a lot of goods from agriculture product to worldwide. This was affected, and specifically, which was very important, it affected to education. Unfortunately, like other countries, we don't have very strong infrastructure to young generation go online education, unfortunately. Therefore, the education sector was affected a lot. But thanks God, recently the pandemic go down, and now higher education sector started back face-to-face education, of course, with some specific, like having a mask and using the specific regulation for healthcare. Healthcare was also affected a lot, unfortunately, but slowly it's coming down. Our loss was, according to the static of Minister of Health, it was not so huge, fortunately, but affected was very huge. Right now, it's taking slowly back.
Okay, so you mean to say that so the sectors that have seen a severe brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic has been healthcare, education, and infrastructure as well. That's what
Correct.
you mean to say. I'm sure, Engineer Khulmi, your country must have seen a series of lockdowns. Did the country see lockdowns
Yes.
because of COVID-19?
Yes, it was, especially big cities like Kabul, Herat specifically, because one of the issue come up, the majority of refugees or immigrants come back from Iran. In the pandemic reached from Iran, we have 4 million refugees living in Iran. It was a lot of traffic going between Iran and Afghanistan. This was affected a lot. Big cities, Herat, Kabul, and Mazar Sharif or Balkh, he was in lockdown more than other small cities.
Okay. Engineer Khulmi, one thing that I would certainly like to understand from you is that Afghanistan has been, as I introduced in my opening statement, that Afghanistan has been at the crossroads of a lot of uncertain events, especially when it comes to geopolitical developments. Since last, almost I can say since 2001 after the 9/11. And any country, certainly when investors look upon it, they look forward to have a stable political establishment as well as stable markets as well. In spite of all these things, Afghanistan is still, when I'm studying about Afghanistan, I'm reading a lot of PPP projects are also there. So how is the outlook for the PPP projects in Afghanistan? Since you have been the Ministry of Energy and Water, which are crucial sectors, how has been your journey and your experience in managing these uncertain times?
It's a very good question. First of all, Afghanistan government established the PPP department under the Minister of Finance in 2018. And we passed the PPP law also in the parliament and by decree of the president of the country. After that, majority of sector was open for investment, specifically the sector which I was involved for 2.5 years in energy. I'm proud of that. We signed 5 projects and more than $373 million was invested by a private sector in energy sector, which was the solar energy, gas to electricity from our own gas, and hydro power station. Overall, these 5 projects increase the local production of energy around 100 megawatt. We are one of the countries lowest access to the grid. Only 40% of Afghan people connected to the opportunity. And out of this 40%, 80% is imported electricity from our neighboring countries. And we are paying $300 million every year to neighboring countries for the electricity. It's one side of the coin. Another side, we have huge potential. We have 300 sunny days. We have huge potential of wind resource. By PPP model, at least we attract a lot of investment. Just recently, a few days back also, there was 4 more project was signed by PPP model, how to generate electricity from wind resource in West Afghanistan, and 3 more was from solar. Beside the energy sector, agriculture, urban development, transportation, and healthcare is another sectors which is interested for investor through PPP model to invest in Afghanistan.
Okay, okay. You just mentioned, Engineer Kulmi, that 40% of the population is connected to the electricity grid, and yet there's a vast number of 60% which are yet to be brought into the electricity grid. And out of the 40%, 80% is still, you're taking it from the neighboring countries, which certainly speaks out volumes about the opportunity that lies in the energy and power sector. Certainly, I mean, to have local energy being generated, it's a huge opportunity for anyone. But I would certainly want to ask you and understand from you is, you mentioned that yes, you are attracting investments. So what are those things that want to make an investor come into Afghanistan? What are the things that give them a promise of a strong return?
It's a good question. Yes, beside there is opportunities in Afghanistan, there is a lot of challenges, of course.
Yeah.
This is not hiding things that it is a country of a lot of risks. But of course, sometimes opportunity and risk coming together.
Yes.
The investors somehow is supporting by world organization like World Bank, EDB, USAID, and other international organizations.
Okay.
Because slowly these organizations, instead of giving a lot of grant directly to the government, beside they giving still, they're now supporting private sector to invest all these projects. I believe in one thing, because of my career, without investing private sector, we will not electrify the country, will not develop the country. I have a good example from my past career in 2001. We opened the telecom market. In 5 years, from zero, we reached to a good number of telecom subscribers and more than $2 billion invested in telecom. Same now going to energy sector and other sector as well.
Okay. Engineer Khulmi, does Afghanistan have a formally structured PPP unit? Because you just mentioned that you have drafted a PPP law. So do you have a PPP unit that governs all the PPP projects?
Yes, it is. There is very clear procedure when any projects coming in PPP. There will be specific procedure. The process is shortened down after we develop the PPP organization and PPP law. And maximum in 6 months, you'll receive award of your project if everything is fine. Okay.
That's good to know. One of the challenges that you mentioned, Engineer Khulmi, was with regards to the uncertain geopolitical developments or the situations or circumstances that constantly surround Afghanistan. Apart from these, what do you think are the other broad level of issues and challenges that PPP projects in general face in Afghanistan?
Of course, the main challenge is always the security is the biggest one. We hope now some peace talk is going in Doha, in Qatar. We hope the results should come up. Because 40 years, it's a generation. I was so young when the war started in my country. Yeah. Now I'm over 50 years.
Yes.
And means that the 1 or 2 generations spent with the war. Everybody is tired of the war, even the other side of the war, not only government of Afghanistan, they're also tired. I hope that will change. The second thing is financing. We don't have a strong banking system in Afghanistan, unfortunately. The third thing is insurance. Even there is some procedure like MEGA from World Bank in ensuring somehow the investment in Afghanistan, but still we need to develop some more.
Okay, so you mean to say that yes, banking is one of the major challenges that prohibits or rather, acts as a challenge when it comes to PPP projects. Another thing which you mentioned just now is about the telecom sector, where you said that in 2001, when the telecom sector opened up, it gave a lot of opportunities and it saw a lot of investments as well in the country. Yes. My question to you, Engineer Khulmi, is when we speak about the telecom sector, certainly we also speak about the era of internet that is changing our systems and processes around us, in a very significant way. So now when it comes to digital penetration, so when we say digital penetration, we speak about the digital infrastructure as well, yes. The fiber optic network that we look forward to have. So how is the development of the internet penetration or digital infrastructure in Afghanistan, and is it pursuing it through PPP model?
Yes, it is. Recently, government announced another projects for PPP for digitalization or access to the home, fiber to home projects.
Mhm.
That's a good points. I can tell you one story. Maybe it will be interesting for the viewer.
Sure,
In
sure.
2007, when I was running my own telecom company, 1 MB internet we was buying from the satellite was 2,500 US dollar.
My goodness.
Now, after the fiber optic lie down and connect to the neighboring countries, now less than $10. Means there is some infrastructure is there. The
Yeah,
problem is not the infrastructure. The problem is that a last mile connectivity.
I agree on
Unfortunately, we started because there were no infrastructure in the country. We started wirelessly. The country is totally wireless, and fiber come later on.
that. Okay.
Means that still need a lot of work to connect majority of the big cities. The main ring road is complete. From north started, it's going out over to Kabul, back to southwest. Some of area because of security, of course, there are some issues, but at least from $2,500 per MB, it's come down to $10 or $15 or more. At least from right now, according to the government static, out of 30, 35 million population, 12 million population is connected to the internet. The mobile penetration almost 80 to 90%.
Yes, yes,
But sectors uh, uh, suffer a lot because of the war. One of the target was the towers.
yes.
Therefore, the penetration did not go very well. But one thing I can tell you that uh, because Afghanistan is one of the countries, we are 65% is under 35 years old.
It's a
It
young
means
country.
that we are very young generation, and without internet, without telephone, we cannot feel our life today.
I
When I compare in 2001 or 2000 up to 2004, there were no telephone, but right now without telephone, no life in the country.
Absolutely. I agree on that. Lives have certainly changed. I mean, what we see in 2001, when there was no internet, there was no telephones, and to what we are today. I mean, our entire lives are around the internet, and everything is around that. And digitalization is the next big thing. But what you just mentioned is correct, Engineer Kulmi. For Afghanistan, a country that is young, I mean, a significant number of population is below 35. And here, I mean, the opportunities that you just mentioned in the power sector and as well as the internet. Certainly, when we look at this, combine both of these, when we see a combination of a large number of people having access to power and energy, as well as they reaching with the internet, as you just mentioned the word last mile delivery, this is something that will empower the local population or the local citizens and the local youth to explore what talent that they have, and that is what brings up entrepreneurs and builds up entrepreneurship in any country. So what you mentioned, I agree on that. What I want to understand from you, since you mentioned, Engineer Kulmi, that PPPs is something that the government is seriously considering, and also it is developing steadily. How is it addressing the area of capacity building and skill development when it comes to not only the upcoming young leaders who are joining the PPP
Mhm.
ecosystem, but also the current ministers and the senior level officials who are there? Because I'll just share my experience of our conversations with a lot of world leaders. What they mentioned is that the trainings are essential not only for the senior officials, but also for the line ministries as well, so that they understand the risks and the challenges associated with any PPP projects and the realistic scenarios that exist with them. So, how is Afghanistan dealing with the entire topic of skill development and capacity building when it comes to PPPs?
Overall, for capacity building, yes, this country needs still a lot of capacity building on high level and low level, because one of the things I can tell you here that Unfortunately, education and work market is not working in my country. Even there is a lot of private universities, private schools in education, but this line of job creation and education should work together.
I agree. Yes.
When I was very young, I graduated from a very uh, uh, professional college. It was Afghan Institute of Technology, which was an American college. Immediately, I find job when I was 18 years old. Means that the work market and the education was working together. Back to your question about line ministry in high level, yes, there is always a capacity building for that. We should understand how we go this to PPP model and how this PPP model should work. Again, since I came from the energy sector, we successfully implement these projects.
Okay.
In 2018, only there was 1.2 megawatt solar generation in the country. Right now, it's 42 megawatt. At least it's running right now. Not only from local investor, it is from foreign investor as well. Means that beside these projects also bringing a lot of value, a lot of capacity building together with them.
I agree on that. What you mentioned, I'll pick up on that particular point, Engineer Kulmi, that what is being taught in our colleges and institutes or universities has to match with what the demand is out there in the market as well. That is very, very important. One thing that based on our research that we are dealing with a lot of stakeholders, we feel is that the speed at which the world around us is changing, the markets are changing because the markets wait for no one. The markets change as per the demand, as per the developments that happen. But at the same time, it has to be equally reciprocated by our education system as well. Because if it does not reciprocate, we will have a young lot or a young generation of graduates who would be then redundant, who will not be applicable for this new evolved market. So at P3 World Council, Engineer Kulmi, what we are planning to, we are considering is to have a mix of vocational as well as theoretical education for the PPP ecosystem, be it a young graduate or be it a policy maker or a lawmaker. What is important is to give them the pulse of the market, the speed at which markets are changing, the dynamics are changing, and that has to be given. If that is given, that would certainly, fall in line with what you just mentioned, the balance of what you say, education and the market developments. So that is important. Yeah.
One more point I can share with you.
Yeah.
When we start the renewable energy program, we call 2000 megawatt solar project program for Afghanistan. Immediately, with support of technical support of German corporation GIZ, we started training the entrepreneurs. We called Yes Afghanistan, or Youth Entrepreneur Support for Afghanistan.
Okay.
Fortunately, we trained 60 engineers as a model, as a pilot project. All of these 60 engineers now have good salary with these solar projects. I'm
Correct.
totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Market should work with that. We don't know into 2050 what type of technology will come up.
Yes.
Personally, myself, I'm a life educator. Always I'm updating myself because everything is changing. Now
Correct.
digitalization is coming to the energy sector as well.
Yes.
The blockchain is coming. If we want, if we don't want, internet will change. The life will change slowly. Therefore, we should focus on that. We will doing that. Beside all these challenges in the country, the young generation is picking up these type of things, and they're one of the good thing from the pandemic. Now a lot of people is online. Like today, we have a virtual talk with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Means that we should merge ourselves with new type of life.
Correct. Yes, I agree on that. And what you mentioned, you are certainly an example that you have set yourself. That at this stage of your career, you're still pursuing a PhD in renewable energy. That itself is a motivation for many, including myself, to continuously pursue education and to continuously go for it. Because yes, the world around us will keep on changing. It is up to us how equally we reciprocate to it and adapt and adopt as well. to the new world that keeps on evolving. When it comes to PPP projects, Engineer Khulmi, when we are now addressing to an audience of global stakeholders and investors, so when it comes to Afghanistan, can you please help us understand what are the key projects that are there for global investors to consider being a part of the Afghanistan growth story? The reason being, I'm sure after the wars that Afghanistan has seen, I'm sure there is a lot of rebuilding and redevelopment that is required in the country in different parts. So, considering all the developments that Afghanistan has seen, what are the key sectors that promise a strong return for global investors and stakeholders?
That's very key and important points. I believe in one thing, beside this terrorism, beside the extremists and other things, war in the country, other thing is jobless people.
Yes.
We are generating environment for these type of things. Therefore, infrastructure is very important. First of all, energy sector is very important, not only for Afghanistan. I believe in one thing, we are in the corridor of energy. Central Asia is full of surplus energy. In South Asia, demand every day is going on. In the middle is Afghanistan connecting these two parts of the world. From other side, we have China and also we have Gulf. All these corridors connected through Afghanistan. Means energy sector is one of them. The road construction, now slowly government is opening that also for the private sector for maintenance of the road, railroads. Specifically, if you see this change of the world, first when the engine the started and the engine went to the ship and ship started working, connecting the world. Now I believe in connectivity through the railroads because speed of railroad is much faster than the ships and others if you connect south to east, north to south. The other thing is the digitalization of this world. Afghanistan can connect these all four sides of the world, means Gulf to the China, Central Asia to South Asia.
Correct.
Means that digitalization also huge and government is opening for that. More important is agriculture. We need everyday food.
Yes.
We have a lot of lands, huge land, which is not irrigated. Because of the many years war, we need a professional irrigation system and we need a mechanical agriculture. Government open for that as well. And there is many more because I believe this connectivity will bring a lot of things, benefit for everybody. I can give you two examples right now going on. One is called CASA 1000, which is connecting surplus production of hydropower energy from Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan through Afghanistan to Pakistan. The other project is TAPI project, gas of Turkmenistan through Afghanistan going to Pakistan and India. When these connectivity is coming there, automatically stability will come, job creation will come. Extremists not only from their religion and other things, extremists because of the poor in education and access to this type of modern life.
Yes.
Besides that, we have huge mining resource. According to United States Static Geological Institute, $3,000 billion is only our mining resource.
Okay.
Means there's huge potential for investment in Afghanistan. We hope peace soon or later will come up in the country. There will be a lot of chance for investors to come to them.
That's true. And one thing that I would want to speak about is when I was studying about Afghanistan in my introduction as well, I said that Afghanistan is a country that has a rich history with regards to a lot of civilizations that have come out of Afghanistan. I mean, when it comes to different things, I mean, what we see, Buddhism and the different things that are there in the country. I'm sure these can act as a gateway to a lot of tourism as well for global tourism in your country. So I'm sure tourism is one area that the country has a lot of potential on. Is what I feel. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, one of the biggest income of a lot of countries is tourism.
Yes.
We have very beautiful untouched area in Afghanistan, like Nuristan. Nuristan is one of the natural beautiful area. It is full of green jungles and many rivers there. Or central Afghanistan, statues of Buddha was there, Bamiyan. We have a lot of historical places like that. In 1970s, there's huge number of tourism was coming to visit Afghanistan. We are in the Silk Road, crossroad of Silk Road,
Yes.
demanding from Buddhism up to late history, we have everything there. I'm sure after peace come to the country, one of the part of the PPP project will be tourism also.
Tourism. Okay. And the last thing that I would want to discuss with you is you mentioned about the population of Afghanistan being very young. So when you have a young population, one important aspect is education. So when it comes to education, I'm sure the country would be planning for some good PPP projects as well in this area. Not only primary education like schools, but also colleges of higher education and universities. So how is it taking up this challenge of addressing the needs of its youth in the country?
Look, after 2001, 11 million students went to school. Because as you know, during the Taliban, a lot of school was closed. There was no education
Yes.
almost.
Yes.
11 million, and only in 2001. Means that there was a capacity to this education, these people should go to the education.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, one of the sectors usually invested right now, even without PPP model, is education. In 2001, there was only a few universities and only government school. Now in every cities, there's a lot of private universities, there's a lot of private schools. Education pick up already, because without
Yes.
investing in human resource, development will not come.
That's true. That's true. Ladies and gentlemen, when I listen to the insights from Engineer Khulmi, I can certainly say that yes, a country that has seen so many wars, that has seen so many uncertain situations, if it can still manage to go strong, and it can still offer so many positives in different sectors like energy, like education, like healthcare, and also tourism, I'm sure there is a lot to learn from Afghanistan for all of us. Engineer Khulmi, on behalf of our followers and our viewers across the world, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and sharing your insights with us in regards to helping us understand how is it with regards to the PPP ecosystem and the outlook for PPP projects and investments in Afghanistan.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure to be with you.
And on behalf of my team at P3 World Council, we want to wish you a healthy and a speedy economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic as well.
Thank you.
And we are committed, Engineer Khulmi, as P3 World Council. We look forward to associating with the government of Afghanistan in being a part of its growth story and bringing our expertise and our best practices to its help in whatever way possible.
Thank you for P3 and all of you bringing us this stage to talk about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.